Now it's time to meet another Marvel superhero. Remember to turn the page every time you hear the sound. Here we go with the story of Iron Man. Anthony Stark was the rich owner of a multi-million-dollar business that made miniature weapons for the United States government. Tony himself was a brilliant inventor of these weapons that were powered by tiny transistors. The United States government officials invited Tony to join a secret mission in Southeast Asia, where a cruel government was in power. There, he would be able to see his new miniaturized weapons being used in a real war. After the Army helicopter landed in an open field, Stark was led by a sergeant toward the safety of the thick jungle. The sergeant explained to Stark what the mission was about.
The enemy fighters outnumber us. Our heavy cannons and guns could beat them, but we can't move such big weapons through this thick jungle.
So, that's where my miniature transistors come in, eh?
Said Stark.
Right. Thanks to your inventions, our weapons are no larger or heavier than flashlights. Our men can carry them anywhere.
Suddenly, the sound of gunfire exploded around them.
Take cover!
The sergeant shouted to Stark.
There's the enemy. You'll see your weapons in action now.
As they leaped for cover, Stark shouted,
That's why I came here, to make sure they work as well as planned. If not, I'll fix them on the spot.
The U.S. troops fired off several rounds of Stark's new weapon. The loud explosions sent the enemy running. The sergeant shouted excitedly,
Just look at them retreat! Stark, your weapons are everything we hoped for.
The battle lasted only a few minutes. Then the enemy was gone. But the jungle was still a dangerous place. Some of the dangers came from nature. Other dangers were made by man. It was one of these man-made dangers, a string that caused Tony Stark to trip, setting off an exploding booby trap beneath him. Stark was struck down, and a piece of shrapnel, a small piece of metal, entered his chest and came dangerously close to his heart. Before the U.S. forces could rescue him, Tony was captured by enemy troops and taken to a military hospital in a nearby town. There, he was visited by Wang Chu, the local enemy leader. Wang Chu looked at Stark with contempt.
His papers reveal he is famous Yankee weapons inventor.
He told his aide.
How is he?
The aide replied,
Bad. Doctors say much shrapnel near heart. Impossible to operate. Cannot live long. Maybe 1 week.
Wang Chu's aide was correct. The piece of metal was steadily moving toward Stark's heart. If nothing was done, it would kill him. Wang Chu, however, wanted to use Anthony Stark's talent while he was still alive. So he made the American an offer.
We know you are a famous weapons inventor. If you design powerful weapons for me, afterwards, I will have my doctors operate on you and save your life.
But Stark was suspicious as he thought to himself,
Wang Chu's lying. If they could save my life, they'd operate now to be sure I lived long enough to design weapons for them. I know I've only days to live, but my last act will be to defeat this grinning terrorist.
And he told Wang Chu out loud.
All right, Wang Chu, I'll do it.
Wang Chu smiled and said,
I knew you would not hesitate to betray your country to save your life.
But Stark had plans of his own, and he thought to himself,
I'll build something all right, but it will be something for me. Something to keep me alive.
Stark entered the laboratory Wang Chu had assigned him and began building an armored suit run by electricity. It would be filled with Stark's special miniature weapons. But even more important was its chest plate, for it would contain a pacemaker-like device that would keep Stark alive by keeping his heart beating even after the shrapnel entered it. As Stark was busy at work, he was suddenly interrupted when Wang Chu threw another prisoner into the laboratory. Stark recognized the man as the famous scientist, Professor Ho Yin-sen. Wang Chu announced to Stark,
This once great scientist is now lowly servant of Wang Chu. He will help you build your weapon.
The bearded man shouted back to the evil leader,
No! I will never help the evil tyrants! Never!
Once Wang Chu was gone, and after Stark realized he could trust the old scientist, Stark told him of his plan. The old man was amazed.
An Iron Man! Fantastic! A mighty electronic body to keep your heart beating! We just might succeed! Think what a creature we could create!
Stark explained his plan further.
I've done extensive work with transistors. I can design them in any size to perform any function. This iron frame must duplicate every action of my body.
Picking up the tools and preparing to begin, Professor Yin-sen made a pledge to Stark.
It shall, my friend, it shall! This will be the greatest achievement of my life!
The days passed, and the shrapnel moved closer and closer to Anthony Stark's heart. Stark was worried as he told Yin-sen,
I can feel the pressure. My time is running out. We must work faster.
The old scientist patted Stark's arm, explaining,
The self-lubrication system is almost complete. Just a little longer. You must have courage.
Soon Stark's condition became critical. He was only minutes away from death. Suddenly, Yin-sen shouted,
The life-giving heart of your iron body is ready. Quickly, clamp it around your chest.
Barely able to breathe from the pain, Stark put the iron chest plate in place, then lay back on the table, while Yin-sen put the rest of the armored suit on him. Once the suit was on, Yin-sen had to fully charge it with electricity to keep Stark's heart beating normally and allow him to move and use the built-in weapons. Yin-sen knew he had to hurry as he exclaimed,
There, it is done. When I activate the machine, your own amazing transistors will furnish the power to keep your heart beating. You should live as long as the iron body operates. This generator will soon build up enough energy to furnish all the power you'll need to survive.
But suddenly, a warning siren wailed in the room. Someone was approaching out in the hall. Yin-sen whispered,
It must be Wang Chu. If he enters now, all our work will be lost.
Professor Yin-sen realized at once what he had to do as he thought,
Wang Chu must be kept away until the mighty electronic body begins to power the heart of Anthony Stark. My life is not important. Stark's life is. I must gain time for Iron Man to live.
So, making the final sacrifice, Professor Yin-sen burst out of the room, slamming and locking the door behind him. He ran directly toward Wang Chu and his henchmen, shouting,
Death to Wang Chu! Death to the evil tyrant!
Furious, Wang Chu screamed,
He has gone mad! After him! Kill him! He is of no further use to me!
The sound of gunfire reached Anthony Stark's ears. As his own heart continued beating, he whispered,
You have not died in vain, my friend. I swear it. Together, we have created a new man, strong enough to defeat Wang Chu and anyone else who tries to take freedom away from people. For now, I am Iron Man.